Once a federal prisoner, now an advisor to those heading to prison, he has first-hand knowledge of the challenges faced within the prison system. His experience spans 11 institutions of varying security levels across 5 states, and he has transitioned into a role where he helps others navigate the complexities of life behind bars. For some, the reality of prison can be shocking, especially for individuals used to living a life of luxury and constant attention. Such is the case for Sean Combs, known widely as Diddy, who now finds himself in the notorious Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, a place often described as hell on earth due to its brutal conditions. Diddy's journey from private jets and red carpets to cold, unforgiving prison walls marks a stark contrast in his life. The famous mogul, once at the helm of a billion-dollar empire in music, fashion, and spirits, now faces a much harsher existence. After being charged with serious offenses, including racketeering and running a criminal enterprise, his world came crashing down in September 2024. The allegations against him are serious, including crimes that prosecutors claim involved exploiting women. As a result, Diddy's once glamorous lifestyle, characterized by extravagant parties, private jets, and expensive mansions, is now a distant memory. Instead, he faces the grim reality of prison life, far from the luxurious environment he once inhabited. Inside the MDC, Diddy is reportedly being held in the special housing unit for his safety. This unit, designed for high-profile inmates, ensures that he is isolated from other prisoners. The SHU's conditions are infamous for being grim: cramped cells, limited interaction with others, and constant monitoring by guards. Former prisoners who have been in similar situations describe this environment as one of constant fear and tension, where even minor actions can lead to violent conflicts. For someone like Diddy, who has been accustomed to comfort and luxury, the transition to prison life is a harsh one. In the SHU, inmates are typically confined to a small cell with minimal furnishings. The bed consists of a thin mattress, and there is no pillow or comfort. The lack of basic amenities, such as natural light or sufficient space, adds to the discomfort. The stark difference between the lavish mansions he once enjoyed and the austere conditions of his cell highlights the severity of his fall from grace. The public's reaction to Diddy's imprisonment has been divided. While some view this as a form of justice, others express concern for his safety, especially given his high-profile status. Reports suggest that the environment in MDC can be dangerous, and Diddy's situation is complicated by the rumors of corruption among the guards, some of whom are alleged to turn a blind eye to violence or even contribute to it. Despite these challenges, Diddy's life behind bars is not without its difficulties. According to former inmates, the daily routines in the SHU are rigid and life is far from easy. The prison's lack of comfort and constant tension mean that Diddy is likely enduring physical and emotional challenges every day. His attorney has highlighted the inhumane conditions of the MDC, emphasizing the psychological toll such an environment can take. Diddy's story serves as a reminder of the stark realities that many individuals face when they enter the prison system, particularly for those who once lived lives of extreme privilege. The life he once led, filled with luxury and excess, is now replaced by an existence of isolation and discomfort, a situation far removed from the red carpet and celebrity-filled parties of his past. As Diddy navigates this challenging chapter, the public continues to watch closely, wondering how he will adapt to the harsh conditions of life behind bars. Whether he will manage to overcome the difficulties of prison life or be forever changed by the experience remains to be seen. Inside his prison cell, Diddy, whose former life of luxury and excess has now become a distant memory, faces a stark and uncomfortable existence. His living conditions in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Detention Center are far removed from the world he once knew. The cell, measuring just 15 square feet, is equipped with little more than a small bed, a thin mattress, and a basic ensuite with a sink and toilet. He spends most of his time isolated in this confined space, with only occasional visits from his legal team or family. For someone accustomed to comfort and convenience, the environment is grim and isolating. The routine is monotonous, with Diddy required to make his bed, mop the floor, and maintain cleanliness in his cell each day. These basic tasks, though humbling for a man who once had a staff of household assistants, provide a small sense of structure amidst the harshness of prison life. Meals, served through a small opening in the door, are far from the gourmet experiences Diddy once enjoyed. Instead of luxurious dishes, he receives simple, often cold meals that meet the minimum legal requirements. Each meal consists of basic items such as powdered scrambled eggs, white bread, milk, and juice. The food is typically unappetizing and served at an unappealing temperature, a far cry from the fine dining he was once accustomed to. Despite the bleak conditions, Diddy does have access to the commissary, which allows him to purchase items such as snacks, coffee, and personal care products. However, the amount of money he is allowed to spend is limited to $160 every 2 weeks, a stark contrast to the lavish spending he was once known for. While this budget may seem significant to some, it is a fraction of what he used to spend, and he must make careful choices when selecting items to improve his daily life. Books, while available, are limited to a small selection, and inmates in the SHU have access to a legal library for resources related to their cases. However, some prisoners have expressed frustration over the lack of general resources and the overall quality of facilities at MDC, which are considered substandard by many. In terms of personal hygiene, Diddy is allowed to shower 3 times a week, a far cry from the luxury spa treatments he may have experienced in the past. The showers are described as unsanitary, with mold being a common issue in the facility. The unpleasant conditions, including poor ventilation and inadequate plumbing, contribute to a grim atmosphere that adds to the overall discomfort of prison life. The situation at MDC is further complicated by reports of frequent violence and corruption within the facility. Inmates often face violence, with stabbings being a regular occurrence. The presence of makeshift weapons, such as homemade knives, has led to dangerous confrontations. In some cases, inmates have been punished with solitary confinement instead of receiving necessary medical attention following violent incidents. Corruption among the prison staff has also been a significant problem. Some officers have been accused of smuggling contraband into the facility, including illegal substances and weapons, which only adds to the volatility of the environment. The MDC's reputation for brutality and the lack of adequate supervision contribute to a dangerous atmosphere for all inmates. Given Diddy's high-profile status, his safety remains a major concern. Recent reports suggest that he may have been moved from solitary confinement to a dormitory, sharing space with another high-profile inmate. This shift could make life even more challenging, as Diddy would now have to contend with the added risks of being in close proximity to other potentially dangerous individuals. Despite the hardships, Diddy's legal team has actively worked to secure his release, even attempting to post a $50 million bond. However, the request was denied, meaning he remains in custody at MDC for the time being. His future in the dormitory, or potentially in the general population of the facility, remains uncertain. But it is clear that Diddy is facing significant challenges both physically and psychologically in this harsh environment. Diddy, currently incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Center, is reportedly experiencing significant negativity from fellow inmates. Sources suggest that he feels targeted and isolated, facing hostility within the prison. In contrast, his fellow inmate Luigi Mangione, who is also facing serious charges, including the alleged murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, appears to be receiving a more favorable reception from other prisoners. Luigi, who was transferred to the MDC from a facility in Pennsylvania, shares the same space as Diddy. While Diddy seems to be struggling with the negative attention, Luigi has reportedly gained the respect and affection of many inmates. The reason behind Luigi's popularity stems from shared experiences, particularly his connection with other prisoners who relate to his struggles, including the loss of loved ones due to inadequate health care. This commonality has made Luigi a more accepted figure in the prison, enabling him to navigate the environment with relative ease compared to Diddy, who is accustomed to a vastly different lifestyle. Interestingly, while rumors have circulated regarding tension between Diddy and Luigi, the latter's legal team has refuted such claims. They have clarified that there is no animosity between the two, and that the situation may be exaggerated by outside sources. In fact, reports indicate that the two inmates have not had any communication or interaction during their time at the MDC. Given their different backgrounds and charges, it is not surprising that they do not share common interests, and their paths have not crossed inside the facility. Despite the lack of personal interaction, there is an intriguing link between their legal teams. Both Diddy and Luigi are represented by members of the same family. Mark Agnifilo, a prominent defense attorney known for handling high-profile cases, is defending Diddy. His wife, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, is representing Luigi. This familial connection adds an interesting layer to the dynamics of the case, especially considering the high-profile nature of both prisoners and the public scrutiny they face. As for Diddy's legal battle, his trial is set for the spring, and his defense team is actively working to gather evidence to support his innocence. One of the key pieces of evidence Diddy's lawyers are focusing on is a series of videos that they believe show private, consensual activities between Diddy and his long-term girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, who is referred to as Victim 1 in the case. Diddy's attorneys assert that these videos demonstrate that the activities were consensual and that Cassie enjoyed them, countering any claims of misconduct. The central issue in the case revolves around the ownership and handling of the footage. Diddy's legal team maintains that the videos in question were never stored on Diddy's personal devices and were not part of the materials seized during a federal raid in early 2024. Instead, they claim that Cassie Ventura had kept the videos on her own device and later provided them to authorities. Furthermore, they emphasize that Cassie was an active participant in the videos, showing no signs of coercion or manipulation. However, despite these arguments, there remain serious questions about the nature of Diddy's actions and the dynamics of the relationship. The ongoing case continues to draw public attention, and as more updates emerge, the situation remains complex and fluid.